Hello, welcome back to Maximum Attack Rallying. We're doing something a little bit different this week. We're in a bit of a lull, aren't we? Waiting for Central Europe, so let's do something fun. And what could be more fun than a list? Guys love a list, don't they? So, one thing that comes up a lot for me is the types of car that we use to go rallying. I've written lots of articles about this, which you'll have seen if you follow me. Lots of discussions / arguments with people. Lots of people say that you can't rally modern cars, they're too complicated, there's no cheap options anymore, all that stuff. The purpose of this video is to show you that that isn't true, that there are actually lots and lots of options out there, that modern cars don't have to be scary or complicated or unsuitable or any of that. So I just wanted to do a quick list, quick run through of 5 cars that I think are perfect for clubmen, for amateurs, even up to national level, and just show you that there are alternatives and that we don't have to keep relying on Novas and 205s and Escorts and Imprezas and all that stuff. So I'm just going to run through each one very, very quickly, do 2 minutes max on each car, just to try and keep this from being 25 minutes like they always seem to be, and just give you a few positives, negatives, things to watch out for, things that you can do, and hopefully it will inspire you, or it will make you angry, or something, whatever. It's fine, it's my list, I can do what I want. So let's get right into it, and that is going to be with car number 1, which is of course the Mark 7 Ford Fiesta. Anyone who follows me will know why I've chosen it. I did a video about it a couple of years ago. I am going to give that a bit of a refresh, re-edit. The content is still good, but I just want to jazz it up a little bit because the editing was terrible. Also, coincidentally, today I found a Fiesta ST rally car while browsing for Rally Car of the Week. So if you follow me on Instagram, you might have already seen that because I've already posted it. But I wanted to talk about the Fiesta because I just think it is the perfect car right now. It is the perfect clubman car. They're quite cheap. You can buy them from about £3,000 now. There's thousands of them out there because they were made from 2008 until 2017 or so. And there are also loads and loads of engine choices. They're quite light. So I just checked. I've got some numbers written down, which is why I'm going to keep looking down here. They start from about 1,040 kilos for a base model up to just under 1,100 for a top of the range ST3. So in modern car terms, that's actually really light. And the other great thing that I love about them is that there is an engine to suit every category. So you've got a 1400, a 1600, a 1 litre turbo that would go into the 2 litre class, the 1600 turbo which would go into the over 2 litre class. You could fit a 2 litre Duratec if you didn't want the 1 litre turbo. So there's just loads of options. And because they were sold in America, there's loads of parts out there for them, so you can get all the tuning parts you can possibly imagine. So I just think they cover every single base. I know it's a common car because M Sport have obviously built lots and lots of rally versions of it, but I don't think there's anything to stop people going outside that, because the M Sport versions are silly money, aren't they? They're £30,000 at the very least. So that's not accessible, but there's nothing to say that you couldn't buy a 1400 or a 1600 and build a clubman car out of it. Or like the Rally Car of the Week this week, you could buy an ST, fit a sequential gearbox, bigger turbo, all that stuff. You know, that car used R2 suspension parts. And I don't see any reason why that shouldn't be as competitive as anything else. So I think the reason I keep going back to the Fiesta is I think it just covers every base. There is literally something for everyone with that car. So I'm a big fan. It is top of the list. The rest of the list is in no particular order, but I wanted to start with that one. Do go back and watch the video. I'll link it in the description. And like I said, I will do a re-edit of that. But I think we should move on from there to another hot hatch, which is number 2, and that is the Renault Sport Clio 197. Now, the reason I've chosen the Clio is because I think it represents a good package out of the box. It's a little bit heavy, they're 1250 kilos, but unlike the Fiesta, I think with the Fiesta you might end up modifying it a bit more in order to get it to perform to the level you want, whereas the Clio, I think you could just do diff, dampers, final drive, and you're kind of away. So I like that. They're about 200 horsepower out of the box, just under. People say the 200 Cup is the one to have. The problem is they're quite a lot more expensive than a 197. And when you actually dig into it, the only real difference that you might benefit from in rallying terms is that the 200 Cup has a quicker steering rack. You're going to throw all the dampers and everything away anyway, So you're losing that benefit. So for me, the 197 is the one to have. Like I said, they're a bit on the heavy side, but you can get the weight down. And it's just handling with the Clio for me. They are such a good car to drive. I've got one right now. I've had another one when I was in the UK. And I know a guy that used to rally a second gen Cup car, and he said his 197 or 200 road car on road tyres was just as fast through the twisty bits as the Cup car was on slicks. So he's now upgraded his rally car to a third gen 197 base Clio. So for me, that says an awful lot about about how much better the platform is than the earlier cars. So I think if you want a hot hatch rally car, for me it would definitely be between the Clio and the Fiesta. I think if you're going to do a more long-term project or you want to go a bit further with the build, the Fiesta might be better, and it's lighter. And I love the fact that there's so many options, as I said. But if you want something that's good out of the box, I think the Clio is a really good choice. So they're the two front-wheel drive cars. I want to move on now to something rear-wheel drive, because I know people love that kind of thing. So let's get to the first rear-wheel drive car, which is the BMW 130i. Now, I know some of you will say, why didn't you go for a 3 Series? And I thought about it. For a while, cars, the E36 and E46 compact, I thought were really good value. But all of those older BMWs are starting to get a bit more expensive. E30s have obviously already gone up a lot. 36s have been eaten by drifters. 46s are getting the same. So I think the 130i is, for me, a better choice. Again, they're quite heavy. They're, where are we? Nearly 1,400 kilos. But the advantage with the 130i is it comes with a 260 horsepower 3-litre engine. So you've got a good engine. I'm sure you can get a bit more out of it. If you wanted, you could fit an E36 M3 engine and still stay under the 3-litre UK capacity limit. But I think the aluminium 130i engine is maybe worth persisting with. Another good thing is that you can get different differentials and final drives and things. The gearboxes in them are really strong. So I think as a clubman rear-wheel drive car, they offer a lot of options. They are popular in Europe, and yes, you could argue that it's not going to be an Escort Beta, even though it would be in the same class as the big Escorts. But for me, as a car out of the box that's cheap to maintain, fun to drive, good engine, good chassis, I think they've got a lot going for them. Again, they're quite cheap. About £5,000 will get you into one. I just really like it. I mean, for £5,000, you wouldn't get a shell for an Escort. So people always say there aren't any affordable rear-wheel drive cars. Well, you could buy a 130i for the cost of a shell for an Escort. I don't think it gets much more affordable than that, does it? Anyway, that's enough about that, because I want to move on to another rear-wheel drive car, because people say, again, there are no affordable rear-wheel drive cars. Well, it turns out there is another one, and that other one is the Toyota GT86. I am amazed that you don't see more GT86 rally cars. They're a bit more expensive. I checked, and according to my list here, they start from about £7,000, which is more than the BMW I know. But it's not mega money, is it? Again, it's not. You're kind of talking Escort body shell money, so you're getting a complete car with a 200 horsepower engine, modern suspension, for the cost of a body shell of the car that we keep, that people keep building. I think one of the strengths of the GT86 for me is that there are, again, lots of parts out there. It's a global car. You can get diffs, you can get short of gear ratios for them from Cusco. There are lots and lots of parts out there for them. Not too heavy, just under 1,300 kilos according to my notes. So I think that's pretty good, isn't it? If you want a rear-wheel drive 2-litre car, what's stopping you? What's stopping you? There was an R3 version built by Toyota Motorsport, which I'll put a picture of here. Not that it's very exciting, because it just looks like a GT86. They had 250 horsepower, sequential gearbox, blah, blah, blah. Very good cars. Chris Harris rallied one in the UK a bit. Not very common, very expensive, but I think the concept shows that it can work. Even if you don't go as mad as the fancy engine and the fancy gearbox, fit the short final drive, fit the Cusco, I think it's a 4th and 5th or 5th and 6th gear to bring the gearing down a bit. Do that, tweak the engine a little bit, exhaust and remap, and for me, you've got a really good car there. You've got a fun, affordable, sensible car that's not going to cost you a fortune to run. You can throw it about, and it's not necessarily going to be a class winner out of the box, but it shouldn't be that far off if you can drive it well. And certainly, on closed road events, the thing is, a lot of single venues have become kind of an arms race. So they're short, sharp, lots of 90s and junctions, which means lots of power and low weight goes a long way. But on bigger events, I think cars like the GT86, the BMW, should actually go quite well. So there you go, 2 rear-wheel drive cars. This is where things go a bit mad, because we're going to go for the wildcard option, and I'm just going to say, because it is ridiculous, and I accept that it's ridiculous, and it is the Mark 7 Volkswagen Golf R. It is ridiculous, isn't it? You're going to ask why I've chosen this, and the reason that I've chosen it is because I really wanted to put something four-wheel drive in. I could have gone GR Yaris, but they're just too expensive. And I had a Golf R a few years ago, and it was an unbelievably capable car. And now, I had a look earlier, and you can buy them from about £12,000, which, yes, it's the most expensive here by like £5,000, but that's a lot of car for the money. If you buy the twin clutch DCT version, it does 0 to 60 in 4 point something seconds, 300 horsepower, very, very capable car. And it sounds ridiculous on the face of it, but if you actually think about it, the value of Imprezas and Evos has rocketed in the last few years. If you wanted a Spec C Impreza or an RS Mitsubishi Evo to build a rally car from, you're talking about a pretty significant investment now, even to buy a base car. And if you look at a lot of the rally cars for sale, they're £30,000, £40,000. So if you buy a Golf R for £12,000, that leaves you quite a lot of money to spend on it, doesn't it? But I mean, you could go down the route of fitting a fancy gearbox and rear diff to make it proper four-wheel drive and all that business. You could go as completely mad as fitting the wide arches that ProDrive used, if they'll sell you some, on their Chinese spec rally Golf, and you could basically create a world rally car. But I think what I'd be interested to see is what someone could do on a budget, so keep the DSG and everything. And I know a lot of people will watch this and say, you're being ridiculous, you can't, it's this same old thing, I hear this a lot, oh, you can't modify modern cars, they're too complicated, too many electronics, blah, blah. That is such bullshit. I'm sorry, that is complete bullshit. If you move out of rallying and into drifting and things like that, and track days, and see what they're doing with this stuff, you can remap dual clutch transmissions, you can remap the clutches so they can hold more power for launches, you can remap them so that you can left foot brake. There is so much potential in this technology if people are brave enough to try it. And I accept that on a airfield or circuit event where it is all about power and weight, that an Evo with a dog gearbox is probably going to be faster. But on a closed road event where you don't rely so much on that short gearing, where it's fast, flowing, if you put cut slicks, decent dampers on a DSG Golf R, I think it would surprise some people. I think it would go a lot better than a lot of people would give it credit for. Would it stand up to the abuse long term? I'm not going to commit to that. But I think if someone was brave enough, I think it would be absolutely fascinating to see a few of those out there and just to see what they could do. I think they drive really, really well. They're not the most thrilling car, but if you wanted something effective, I think it would be fascinating. So I appreciate that it's mad, but I'm throwing it in there because I just wanted to put in a wild card, and I really wanted to have something four-wheel drive. So I think we should call the list there. Thanks for watching. I know it's a bit fast and furious. I just wanted to get through them because I don't want to keep doing 25-minute videos. I thought this would be a bit of fun. I'm going to ask you for two things just to finish off the video. The first one, which you can predict without me even saying it, is please like, comment and subscribe. I'm really glad that we've cleared 100 subscribers. Last week's vlog had over 200 views, which I know is still tiny, but from tiny acorns, great oak trees do grow, and it's just nice to see some growth. So I appreciate that. The second thing is, if you disagree with anything on my list, please do comment. I'd love to hear what you think. Also though, if you've got any suggestions, if you can come up with something that you think is better than the cars on my list, I would also love to know. I'm a bit weird and spend a lot of time thinking about this because as I said, I do find it really interesting, this concept of modernising the sport. So if there is a car that you think I've missed, I would love for you to tell me. Also tell me why you think I've missed it. You know, if there's anything special about it, do let me know. Because I think it would be great to have a conversation about it. And I think we do need to have a conversation about it, because we can't keep relying on doing the same thing. We can't keep relying on 30-year-old cars or 40-year-old cars. So let's have a conversation about what we can do. These are my 5. Tell me your 5, and I will catch you in next week's video. Thanks for watching.